Hey folks, what's up? I just finished doing, participating in a peace rally in downtown Santa Cruz, and it was pretty cool. I think we had about 50 people all told, and we just met at the clock tower downtown. Uh, we timed it to, we scheduled it to be on Hiroshima Day to underscore you know, the danger of nuclear war, uh, due to this proxy war between NATO and Russia. And so, yeah, it was good. It was um, like, it was like my idea to have a rally, but Keith McHenry was also basically thinking along the same lines anyway. So it was his idea to do it today, and so it was like a Brave and Free. We promoted it as Brave and Free, our group, and then Keith is also with Food Not Bombs. That he helped found. So they also were involved, and so we did it like across the street from the Food Not Bombs um, kitchen or whatever where they're feeding people. And they had up all their Food Not Bombs signs, which is good because, of course, it's very on message. And so, it was like it's the third rally that I've called, I guess, that, this year. I mean, basically, Keith has done a lot of the actual work because he has all the contacts and he's like great at graphic design, so he does the flyers. Um, but the other two were in the winter, and like the first one was decent. I think maybe there was like 40 people there all told, at least in the beginning. But the second one was kind of a dud. Like that was a couple months ago or so, and there was only like 10 people maybe showed up at most, and then they kind of dwindled away pretty quick. But I still stayed out there with my sign on the corner because it's a great, like, the Santa Cruz clock tower. It's in the middle of town more or less, and it's at the cross section of Pacific Avenue and Ocean, I guess, or Water. Yeah, Water Street. So those are, major thoroughfares. So it's good. We get to hold up our signs on the side, on the street side of it's like, yeah, there's like the clock tower, and it's this whole kind of like cement area that also has this statue, which is supposed to be for peace. And it may actually be connected to Hiroshima, the World War II and everything. But because every year on Hiroshima Day, the League of Women's League for Peace and Freedom or something, they get together and they clean that statue and they polish it. So it kind of, they helped us to organize this because since we coincided and we're in the same place. And then, I helped them polish the statue. And then, we had like kind of an open mic situation where anybody could talk, and people just, talked about the conflict in Ukraine mostly. And so there was some good speakers. Somebody from Code Pink was there speaking. We have like this local association for the United Nations that shows up to all these protests, which is cool. I mean, I know everybody hates the UN for mostly good reasons, but but there's also good people who I mean, the UN is a pretty mixed bag. It's basically I don't know. It's a mess. Like all the good things the UN would like to do, they've never been able to do because the Security Council controls it. But like help the Palestinians and whatnot. But so yeah, I don't have the same like obsession with hating the UN that some people have. But our local Fed, like um, this guy, this guy James, that's basically seems to be a Fed. Is like some kind of either a Fed or some kind of police or something undercover infiltrator that comes to all of our meetings and tries to sabotage everything we do. So now he's taken to because we've been doing these marches and or these rallies, and because the UN people endorse us and show up, even though there's only like two of them, um, he's like saying that I'm an agent for the UN. So that's kind of good because then that can weed out all the people who for whom that qualifies as logic, who are useless to us anyway, at best. So so yeah, that was funny, and there was Santa Cruz for Bernie endorsed us, which was good. They have a good mailing list that they sent out. Our flyer, and they promoted the event too. Um, and who else was supporting us? There was some other group, I think, at the end. Oh yes, like Santa Cruz People for Palestine. Uh, they endorsed us like at the last minute, and they were there, so that was awesome. Um, and yeah, it was pretty good. It's a good little showing because it's like the Democrats, they want to, it's like the Republicans will tell you, and supposedly they believe that the Democrats are the left, right? And they're not. The Democrats hate leftists, they hate the left. But there's enough pseudo leftists that actually are Democrats or fall for their shit that it becomes semi convincing. Until you notice that actually all the real leftists are still anti war and still hate the Democrats. But, people like me and Keith and like, all the people that were there, um, there's nobody more leftist than us, right? The Democrats are certainly not more leftist than, like, the reason we don't vote Democrat is because the Democrats are right wing. So, and yet, just for that, just for not voting Democrat, they will call us right wing. And some imbeciles might fall for it, but uh, what can you do? Anyway, let's see. 8 minutes. So I'm hoping this marks kind of the rebirth of the Santa Cruz peace movement, and just real activism in general. I think is like all basically the real left has been destroyed by the corporate left and by the identity politics psyops for the Democrats and whatnot. And but this event was great. It had like different people with different ideas, but we all came together for peace, and we didn't even have counter protesters, which was a little bit disappointing, I guess. But what can you do? Usually, the last two times we had these two counter protesters, that this couple that would hold the Ukraine flag and like harangue us the whole time, call us Putin puppets and whatever. But I guess they couldn't make it, unfortunately. They were pretty cringe, but they were funny, and they made us look even better because, like, look who our opponents are, these cringe, like imbeciles who clearly didn't know anything about Ukraine or Russia or anything else except whatever Rachel Maddow told them to believe. Um, but anyway, so that was good. Um, I held up a peace sign. I helped hold out the Women for International Association of Women for Peace and Freedom sign, and there is another the Veterans for Peace. They endorsed this. They endorsed the event too. So they had a big banner that was what was it? Peace in Ukraine, or stop the war in Ukraine, negotiate. I think it said. So that was good. Because a lot of times if you say stop the war in Ukraine, then they say, how are you gonna do that? So at least it just tells them right up, you negotiate, you dumb fuck. Um, so anyway, I also wanted to mention that again that I'm trying to run for president myself as a like I want to run in the Libertarian Party, but I haven't really made great steps to doing that because I'm not exactly sure how, and I don't know, seeing if there's anybody who would actually vote for me anyway. But I mean, the sad thing is, there's a lot of people who are like, oh no, Rowan, you're not famous. You have no chance. So I'm just going to vote for one of the pedophiles or one of these, it's like, but I mean, in this case, we have we have RFK and we have, you know, Cornell West. And I do want to see who's running as in the Libertarian Party. Maybe they'll have somebody decent. I mean, like JoJo last time was decent, better than Gary Johnson. But but the thing is, Cornell West is great on a lot of issues. He's pretty good on Palestine. He sucks on COVID issues. He has zero critique of anything relating to COVID. Um, and he's not very, I don't think he's that great on Ukraine either. I mean, who knows? I guess he's pretty good on Ukraine. He's definitely way better than, Biden or any kind of mainstream Democrat is on Ukraine. But he still does kind of fall into the thing of saying like, well, we know Trump is worse than Biden, and we know Putin is worse than Biden, but Biden is also bad. So, but it's like, no, Biden is just as bad as them, if not worse. So, so that's disappointing and perturbing somewhat. And then RFK is great on COVID for the most part. He's great on, he's pretty good on Ukraine. I think, at least rhetorically, he's been better than Cornell on Ukraine. But then he's like garbage on, Israel Palestine issues. Like, just he's like the most rabid Zionist that exists, basically. He's like the revived ghost of like whoever those fascist like early Zionists were. Um, but like he's like really, you can tell he's like basically racist against Arabs, and probably he's just probably is gung ho for the whole culture war against Muslims. Clash of civilizations, Judeo-Christian civilization versus the Islamic, threat of Iran and all these Arabs. And like, just when he talks about Israel versus the Arabs and the Arab countries, it's just clear that he just thinks they're all evil, period. He literally said that every Arab country is officially committed to the extermination of Jews. And like this is some shit that because he hangs around with the most right wing Zionists, like he's being funded by Sheldon Adelson's mistress or you know widow, who basically was the Trump's biggest funder. So yeah, and so I don't know. It's like, yeah, I still kind of support him, but I don't support him as a person. I don't think he's a good person anymore. I had thought like, I was like, okay, well, he's taken all these slings and arrows over COVID. At least he shows he has integrity. But I'm like, I don't know if he exactly has integrity. He somehow was convinced by some women in Southern California, some rich ladies that are, I think, friends of a friend of mine, that he was convinced to join to start scrutinizing vaccines and everything. He didn't want to. He tried to resist it for a long, long time. Eventually, they guilted him into it. But apparently, there was no group to guilt him into giving a fuck about Palestinian lives. So there you go. So yeah, he's not my hero. He's just not. You can't talk that way about Arabs and be a hero to anybody who's not a fucking, genocidal like he is. So, I mean, would he be better than Biden? Yes, I think he probably would. And he's even said that he might scale back some of the funding for Israel, although I think he might have then later scaled back that position. Um, but I'm just saying, like, people could literally have what they want. Like, people want like an anti-Zionist, anti-war, anti-Fauci candidate. It doesn't exist except for me and, maybe some other unknown people. And yet people are just going to probably ignore me. I mean, I'm shadow banned from the world anyway. But I'm just saying, like, there's been times when, like, I've been promoting my candidacy because I always try to run if I can. And people would just be like, that's really ridiculous. I'll vote for a pedophile. It's like, no, you're ridiculous. Like, literally, people can vote for anybody they want. There's nobody who's unelectable. People just need to vote for that person and they will be elected. So I'm not saying I'm like, you know, amazing. I'm just saying I'm not a Zionist. I'm not pro war. I'm not pro Fauci. So supposedly that's what at least the populists want. So, but again, I'm so shadow banned that I don't even know how I can even let them know that I'm running. Uh, yeah. I mean, it kind of sucks. Like I have friends that are deeply involved in the RFK campaign, and I've been involved. I started up the local Santa Cruz for RFK, even though now it's kind of gotten away from me. But but it's just so terrible. I mean, supposedly he's gonna have a debate with Max Blumenthal, or they're gonna have a discussion, and but I don't hold out much hope because he's already had discussions with a number of people. Like even Jimmy Dore, he didn't know as much about it to debunk all the lies that RFK was saying on his show, but he did show him some things and it had no impact on him. So yeah, RFK is not a good person. He's just a person that for whatever reason has played a good role when it comes to COVID and vaccines. So, I mean, I would love to see him in the debates. I support hope his campaign does really well. And, I hope he wins the Democratic primary. But it's not, I have no emotional like attachment to him at this point. I'm like, yeah, yeah, he says some good things. That's good. But I don't have any affection for the man anymore because I seen the way he speaks about Arabs. And if you can speak that way about one group of millions of people who just happen to be born a certain way, then that's just how you are towards people. I've known people who are like, "Oh yeah, I hate this group or that group." Yeah, the more better you know those people, you'll find out they just have hatred. They're just hateful people. It's not, there's nobody who's like, "Oh yeah, I hate like these millions of people, but I totally am a sweetheart to everybody else and full of love and integrity." No, you either have integrity or you don't. And RFK does not. And arguably Cornel West doesn't either. If he has no critique of Fauci at this point, how does that happen? It's just because he's a good boy, right? He's a good boy. He never questioned, he never considered the alternate views. He never watched Joe Rogan, you know, the Nazi propagandist or whatever. It's like, so yeah, I'm just saying, like, people could literally just vote for a person that they want. If I could run, I mean, I'm not saying people want me as a person, but they could vote for somebody who actually supports their positions. And, if I could run as a libertarian, they are on most ballots, I think. They have more ballot access than the Greens. Um, that would be all it would take is people to be like, I'll just not vote for a pedo this time, and instead I'll vote for this kind of, other guy that he might not be have, the fancy suits and the, overproduced videos or whatever, but he's not going to genocide Arabs or, Russians or Ukrainians, or he's not going to, poison the population. And, and so that's maybe more important to somebody than just the aesthetics and the optics and whatever. But that remains to be seen. Anyway, I couldn't really live with myself if I didn't at least try. But you know. So yeah, if anybody has any ideas for how I could like push that forward or any input or whatever, feel free to comment. And yeah, take care, everybody. This is Hiroshima Day, so it's a good time to remember the terrorism of the US government. That is terrorism when you deliberately target civilians. That's that's terrorism. Or at least that's, if there is a definition of terrorism that means anything at all, then it would be that. So that makes us the biggest terrorist state in history, of course. Then yeah, never again. But it's like, in a way, it's like ongoing, like the type of genocide of Hiroshima is just ongoing all around the world now, run by the US and Britain and the corporations and whatnot. So, you know, um, thank you very much. Take care and peace.